The show is brought to you today by ASUS, oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that part. Squarespace, Seasonic, and JumpCloud. All right, guys, in all seriousness, we've got to talk about the big controversy that has been making big waves in the techosphere over the last, realistically, the whole thing started a few weeks ago when we saw that CPU that got popped and burned on the bottom. Yeah. We talked about that on WAN Show. We did talk about that on WAN Show. Some people have said, hey, what's up with you guys not talking about this at all? We actually did. And then we've been kind of waiting to learn more, and learn more we have. Gamers Nexus has completed their series of videos about what's been going on with Ryzen X3D chips that have been, well, I think blowing up is probably a little bit melodramatic, but burning up is certainly a way that we could describe them due to higher than anticipated voltages being applied by particularly some motherboard manufacturers' BIOSes, and ASUS seems to be at the center of this controversy. Now, there's been a lot of questions under our review of the ROG Ally that went up yesterday asking why that... I didn't even say the word because I couldn't find my swear button. The point is, why haven't we addressed this? And why are we shilling for ASUS when everyone else is mad, trying to... Okay.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
It was a review of a handheld. That was the embargo lift day. There was no coordinated anything. If it was sponsored, you'd know, because it would have said so. It was sponsored by Dbrand, for crying out loud.
It's a showcase or something, right?
Look, I've had my fair share of controversies over the last couple of years, and in some cases, man, I had it coming. But this is one of those ones that I'm looking at going,
hey, hold on, wait a minute.
What? We don't even review motherboards!
And haven't for like a really long time.
The one motherboard video that we've uploaded in the last year was on some weird one that we got off Reddit that had an AMD CPU socket but was a Z490 chipset. It was some chipset that never got released, and we were like, hey, cool, I want to play with that.
Yeah, that's a little different.
We don't review motherboards. So the reason that we haven't covered it yet is because there hasn't been WAN Show yet. That's why we didn't cover it. Also, man, the conspiracy theories.
Nope, you're a shill.
The conspiracy theories about how paid off that ROG Ally video was. I don't even know what to tell you guys. We opened the video criticizing ASUS for their shady marketing of the thing. Because I was pissed. I got brought in to do this preview where they go, okay, yeah, blah, 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 up to 2 times faster. And then I'm sitting here going, okay, now that we've tested this more extensively, these up 2s are not great. So the first thing we did was go after them for shady marketing. Do you honestly, search your soul, do you honestly believe that anyone at ASUS Marketing approved us criticizing their shady marketing? Anyway, the truth is, almost a week before Jay posted his video, we had already informed ASUS that if they didn't deal with some unrelated issues related to customer service that had popped up on our forum, we were going to be putting all of our sponsor deals with them on pause. The good news is that we can kind of get through everything that they have said in response to that, as well as the update that we've gotten from them today about what they're doing regarding the whole beta BIOS situation. But before we do that, we need to catch you guys up if you're not sure what the heck has been going on. So, ASUS responded to the overheating / burning up, I think is really a better way to put it, overheating issue with Ryzen 7000 X3D chips with a rapid beta BIOS update, which was supposed to cap SoC voltage to 1.3 volts. That beta BIOS was, and still is on some pages at least, labeled with a disclaimer indicating that installing it would void the user's warranty. Wow. So the perception was, I'm sorry, I bought your product, okay, and my options are either I have it die, or I maybe still have it die, but
it's not covered.
I can apply the fix, but then I get no warranty?
Yeah.
Are you for real? Now, ASUS claims that this is standard boilerplate legalese that is attached to all of their beta BIOSes.
And that seems true.
We did actually check that. So we used an archived version of ASUS's site from last year that actually does appear to be attached to all of their beta BIOSes. They told us that they did not intend to communicate that they wouldn't respect users' warranties and that they will honor the warranty of any user affected by the beta BIOS, Expo enabled or not. This is really good news and is something that, quite frankly, I would have expected from them anyway. ASUS is... Here, hold on. This is great. I've got a quote in here from, I think Riley was actually working on this topic in the doc. Yeah, here we go. Some more takeaways from our calls with ASUS that Riley was involved in. They say they were more focused on fixing the issue and making sure customers weren't continuing to damage their boards than they were focused on PR. Yeah, that's pretty obvious because the PR job that they've done here is atrocious. And I wish I could say that this was an isolated incident, but they are spectacularly bad at communication, and they are spectacularly bad at creating action plans sometimes. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you see often when you've got a company where there's a regional branch that is engaging directly with consumers. In this case, ASUS USA, or North America really, is they cover the whole region. And then you've got a Taiwanese head office branch that makes all the actual decisions. The opportunity for the left hand to have absolutely no idea what the right hand is doing is, well, this.
Constant. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad to hear that they are doing the right thing. I fully expected them to do the right thing. We had already gotten in touch with them over a couple of customer support issues that were posted in our sponsor. It's either sponsor concerns or sponsor complaints thread over on the forum. That's one of the ways that we ensure that our community is being taken care of by our sponsors. And my understanding is at least one of those was actually a complete miscommunication. It was someone who was mad on behalf of someone else who already had a replacement board nearly a month ago.
Oh, wow.
And they were mad about the way ASUS handled it, which is justifiable. But at a certain point, you kind of have to ask, well, what do you want other than a replacement motherboard?
Because stuff's gonna break.
Stuff happens from time to time, and I can't say I have all the details of that one. All I know is I sent an email 10 days ago that said this needs to go away or everything's on pause. And now I have heard back that it is gone. So that's at a certain point, I can't get into the nitty-gritty details of everything.
Yeah.
Anywho. ASUS says they have already changed the disclaimer, so it doesn't make it sound like updating to the beta BIOS will void your warranty, but the change may take some time to propagate across all of their sites. Complicating matters in all of this. Gamers Nexus tested motherboards after the beta update and found they were still exceeding safe voltages of 1.4 volts. So yeah, that would have been a big problem if people actually weren't getting their boards covered under warranty. But the thing is, realistically, regardless of the pressure from users and from media, this is not the sort of thing that AMD would have allowed anyway. If it was causing their chips to die, it's something that they would have been working closely with ASUS to remediate and ensure that their collective, their shared customers were not going to have an extremely sour taste in their mouth, because you gotta understand that not everyone who is going to encounter this issue is highly technical, is watching channels like LTT or Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 Cents or whatever else. There's people out there that buy a motherboard the same way that I would buy, man, what would be a comparison?
Tire.
RC car.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, sure. We both went with things that roll. So same wavelength. This is how we work, ladies and gentlemen. Where I know enough to know that, okay, I need an ESC, I need a battery, I need either like an RTR, like a ready to roll, I think it is what that stands for. I know I need a transmitter, or maybe I don't if I get one that includes one. Like, I have some idea of everything, but other than, oh yeah, I think Traxxas is like pretty good but overpriced, and like Arma used to be pretty like budget friendly, but like then they like got bought by someone. Like, I kind of know a little bit about it, but not enough to make a truly informed decision. A lot of people going into this would be like that. And so if all they know is, yeah, AMD good, AMD CPU fry, that reflects really poorly on everyone involved, and it's in everyone's best interest to get this fixed, because believe it or not, nobody likes issuing warranty replacements. And if they can get them fixed in the field, that's absolutely what they're going to be doing. And while ASUS has absolutely been involved in some pretty frustrating warranty drama over the years, I've got to say that every time something's been flagged to me, it's either been resolved before I got a chance to really look into it, or it's been resolved with me sending a quiet ping, and it's gone away.
It shouldn't have to get to that point.
It should never get to that point, but in some cases, like I'm trying.
There's always going to be something.
The most recent one was someone mad because they were RMing a laptop, and that laptop model was no longer produced.
Okay.
So they were offered a much higher spec laptop that had a GPU that was like wildly faster and a CPU that was either 1 or 2 generations newer. Okay. Then ASUS went, wait, sorry, we actually can't get that one either, but we've got this. And they were offered one that was still markedly better,
but not as good as the
AMD,
first.
which I perceived as better, but with a slightly lesser GPU. Which, yeah, sucks from a gaming standpoint, but is also good from a power consumption standpoint, and was still way better than what they were originally offered. So they were offered one, and then they were like, oh crap, no, I actually don't have that, but I'll give you this one that is betterer in this way and unbetterer in this other way. And they wanted me to do a whole expose about it, and they sent me a whole thing on the forum, and I'm looking at it going, I would take the laptop.
Yeah.
I think you should take the laptop.
Yep. It's still significantly better than the one that you had. Like, I don't know.
But that was still a crappy customer experience, because nobody likes to be offered something and then rug pulled. Right? If they had something that they were happy with, then that sucks.
I mean, it's like rug pulled, but then they like also put a really nice pillow under you before you fall. Like, it's still better than what you were. Better than you had, which is more than I would expect.
Honestly, I think the underlying issue here is that there's this attitude in the IT industry that customer service after the fact is kind of it's an afterthought. It's not something that very many companies make a core part of their brand, which is why it makes me so unhappy that EVGA pulled out of GPUs. But you can see that for them to maintain that level of service and that reputation, you need margin. And there just obviously wasn't enough margin left in GPUs for them to continue to do that. All right, let's get back to ASUS not being perfect for a long spell here. Man, you guys. Another complication. ASUS changed the CPU support table for some motherboards, indicating that X3D CPUs have only been validated since the most recent non-beta BIOS release 1303. Yet, the list of BIOS updates still says the older 1202 releases recommended for optimum performance with X3D processors. Some users suggested this was done to suggest that X3D wasn't supported on 1202. According to ASUS, this was done to ensure that users only download the most safe BIOS going forward. Yeah. Okay. Some more takeaways. Yeah, we've got the thing about how they suck at PR, so at least they know. I guess that's good. We asked them if they would consider putting up notices/updates on their support pages to prevent people from getting the wrong idea. They said they couldn't comment on that, and again mentioned there would be an FAQ next week. And Riley put in italics, just in time. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, if they're going to comment to you, oh, well, like, people actually have this, whatever, that needs to be on their site.
You know what happened, though? I wasn't on the call. I don't have any kind of... Riley came in asking, hey, we can't get a proper response from ASUS. They clearly did after, but he came in and talked to me. He was like, hey, we're having trouble getting in touch with someone. Do you have anyone there you can talk to? I'm like, no, I hired my ASUS contact. No, I actually don't really know anybody there anymore.
But like, I mean, I would be pissed. Like, if I was an ASUS customer and I ran through this scenario, I would be royally pissed off.
But you know, I'll tell you what happened. Is the technical people know exactly what's going on and are working on it.
Yeah.
The PR people are sitting there trying to understand what the technical people are telling them. And then the legal department is getting in here saying, whoa,
we don't want to commit to anything.
Don't say anything. Everything boilerplate, everything CYA. And then we can always make exceptions case by case by case by case by case and do all of them. I don't care, but don't put anything out there.
Yeah, but they already did put out there that they were going to screw everyone, so they got to do something.
That's the problem.
At a certain point, you have to tell your legal team to kind of screw off and just deal with it.
Well, the thing that happens when you tell your legal team to screw off and deal with it is that
you end up with Trust Me Bro t-shirts.
Hey, in fairness to me, okay, did we take care of everyone?
Yeah.
Were we going to anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, trust me, bro.
But
so you're saying that they're pulling a trust me, bro. Is that it?
Yeah, but then we're talking about bad communication, all this other kind of stuff in the past. So like
I mean, okay, then it's a full trust me, bro, because that's part of it. That's a key element of the trust me, bro trifecta. Okay, you've got the overconfidence in your own image. You've got the sort of appearance of sketchy behavior, or maybe even downright sketchy behavior. And then you've got the, what was the last one? The crappy communication.
Yeah.
You got all three. It's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. You should license it to them or something.
Yeah. You know what? You know what would be amazing?
Hey, Zeus, we can handle this.
We create our own Better Business Bureau clone. Okay, but it's just TMB. And accredited businesses can display the Trust Me Bro seal on their website.
Oh, so it's like Secret Shopper, and you get a TMB seal, and you get like a different like grade based on how well you did in Secret Shopper.
I'm so excited. Now, actually, on that subject, that didn't make it into the notes. I had fired that. You know what? It doesn't matter. This is a very dense topic. So on that subject, we have our own ways of holding folks accountable. We don't review motherboards, right? So it's not the kind of thing that we deep dive into day in, day out, at least not now. As the lab gets up and running, you can fully expect to see more coverage of things like individual models of graphics cards and motherboards and power supplies and things like that. In fact, we're shooting a lab update early next week that is going to show you guys the power supply tester is finally fully configured. We had Chroma out here earlier this week to get us the training on it. Really excited to show you guys that. We're going to blow up a power supply. It's going to be awesome. What was I saying? Right, so you can expect to see more of that from us in the future, but that doesn't mean that we don't have other things that are in the works in order to keep not just the industry accountable, but actually our sponsors specifically. So I can finally announce this, but because it's been in the works for, I think, a couple of months now. We are going to be doing round 1 of Secret Shopping, our sponsors. We anonymously.
So it's done already, right?
Yeah,
because we don't talk about doing it unless it's done.
Yep. I always like to keep my cards pretty close to my chest when it comes to sponsorships, when it comes to Secret Shopper. We're very transparent about our sponsorships. But this one has progressed to the point where we have collected a lot of interesting information, and this is going to be one of the ways that we continue to evaluate ongoing sponsor relationships going forward. That's something we're going to talk about in more detail once we actually come out with the video. But we had one of our probationary employees who's not listed anywhere publicly just buy things completely anonymously, and then in some cases fabricate issues so that they could get in touch with their support, and just documented the entire process. I'm really excited. I haven't seen any of the results. In fact, I didn't even pick which sponsors we were going to do.
Is Zeus in it?
I actually don't know.
Oh, man. That would have been really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if I could find out for you guys. You know what? No. Cards to my chest. We're going to blindside everybody with it.
One thing that I'm unsure of right now, just reading this ASUS topic, because I saw some of it, but not a ton up until when I read the doc. In the private communication that we theoretically have, they're talking about how they're going to deal with it and everybody's going to be fine.
Yes.
What public communication has there been at all?
Other than these postings, it doesn't seem like they have done a particularly good job of publicly communicating.
So as of right now, if someone didn't watch this, they would still think that their warranty was void if they ran the thing. Is that correct?
I actually don't know. I think they said that they are updating the messaging, but it hasn't fully propagated.
Still not done yet.
Yep.
Or is that's just them removing the disclaimer, right?
Let me have a look here. Hold on. I've actually got a screen capture that I can show you guys here in my notes. Boop, 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 boop. Except as provided in the product warranty and to the maximum extent permitted by law, ASUS is not responsible for the incidental or consequential damages resulting from using. Yeah, so this is the original wording. I believe that original wording is still there on some pages and will continue to be until it actually propagates. Now, here's the thing.
It was worded as rollout, so it's actually potential that those pages haven't even started.
Now, here's the thing. With Trust Me Bro, right? Remember, where I got into trouble was because I knew in my head that if there was ever any kind of issue, we would deal with it. Maybe they know in their heads that if there's ever any kind of issue, they will deal with it. But because of their somewhat spotty history with customer service, I don't know if they've actually earned that, for one thing. And for another, if they have communicated that warranty is not going to cover this, unless someone gets mad and messages support, they might not realize, and they might just go buy another board thinking that their warranty is invalid. And that would really suck. Now,
I would bet you money that has already happened.
Now, a piece...
Like, probably a bunch.
Now, a piece that I do not know is how many actual...
affected users?
How many actual CPUs have burned? Does anyone have any kind of idea of that? Anyone? And even if it's, here's the thing, even if it's only 1 or 5 or 50, whatever that number is, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's out of the woods. If you've been accidentally applying a higher than expected voltage to a CPU,
could cause some permanent damage.
It could cause its lifespan to decrease in a way that is not obvious immediately.
Mm-hmm. So this was pretty terribly handled.
Yeah, we've got some people that are like really confused. Olive Processor over on Floatplane says, this isn't how anything works, Linus. There's no such thing as brand trust unless you've drank the Kool-Aid. There is such a thing as reputation, though. Like, this is the kind of argument that sort of ended up creating, I think, a lot of the negative sort of circular arguments that existed back during the Trust Me Bro controversy. Is like, once we had the limited lifetime warranty up, the people who were still mad, so people would point out, hey, they've got their limited lifetime warranty up, everything is fine, and everyone is completely covered. People would say, oh, and by the way, this is like the same as these other brands that have a great reputation for covering their customers. And people would respond and say, yeah, but those guys have a great reputation, so, you know, obviously, like, their word is better. And then it's like, are you even listening to yourself? Because you can't apply that logic to one and not to another. Like I said, ASUS's reputation is not one that I would look at and go, yeah, obviously they're just 100% going to deal with this. It's not the worst, but it isn't that either. But that doesn't mean that no company can have a reputation for customer service. I mean, by that logic, why don't you just buy everything from some brand you've never heard of on AliExpress? I wouldn't. I would rather have some idea that I'm probably going to get taken care of. Right? Apparently I'm supposed to tell Ryan from customer service they're great. Okay, shout out Ryan from customer service.
I wouldn't, even if I had... So, I have never dealt with ASUS customer service. I've had a bunch of ASUS things, and none of their stuff has ever died on me that I didn't just straight up kill, or it was like a decade old already. So that's good, but is not a reflection of their customer service at all. The only customer service that I've really dealt with in this realm is EVGA. I've told that story a bunch of times. I don't need to tell it again. It was very, very good. EVGA's customer support was the best customer support I've ever dealt with in any realm ever. But like, if I saw this, I wouldn't believe that they're going to handle it. And if they've had no communication that they're going to handle it, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not willing to necessarily condemn until we like see what they actually do. But like, yeah, if I was a user and this happened to me right now, I would be royally pissed off. And I think they have a right to be. They're told that they're screwed and there was no follow-up communication. Like that can't happen. This has got to be resolved. At least during the Trust Me Bro thing, you were saying, "Trust me, bro, we're going to handle it." they aren't saying anything as far as my understanding goes. So like, what are people supposed to take from this? Like that was the Trust Me Bro thing. There was some form of quote saying that you're going to be handled. The thing wasn't done. They wanted a warranty. That type of stuff wasn't handled yet, but you're like, it's coming. We're figuring it out. Trust me. This one, there is none of that. I'm not saying that is if they come out and just go like, LOL TMB, we licensed it from Linus, whatever. I'm not saying that would like be good. But like, they're not even at least doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is rough. This is very rough.
Yeah, I mean,
and I do think they deserve some heat for this.
Yeah, they do. The problem for me is I don't like getting dragged into their drama. And I'm looking at it this morning. I'm reading comments on the video from yesterday.
Why isn't Linus talking about this?
I'm looking at this going like, holy you guys, how have you not dealt with this? Make this go away.
Yeah.
What do you have to send out? What, a motherboard? 10 motherboards? 100? I don't care.
Yeah.
Put them in the mail.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And there wasn't even enough time for us to have a WAN show yet.
Yeah.
And we don't cover motherboards. So everyone needs to relax when it comes to us. There's a bunch of people saying that we're like covering ASUS's butt. So I just wanted to be clear that we don't think that they did a good job.
And I specifically said, I don't think they've earned a Trust Me Bro guarantee.
Yes. So if it wasn't clear, hopefully it is now clear.
Yeah, hopefully, basically the only thing that I think people could look at from what we talked about and say, well, that sounds like butt covering, is when I mentioned that I don't think that AMD would be very happy with this situation if it was actually killing their chips. But really, that having been on the other side, there are absolutely fires, and there are people working on putting out those fires. And you are not privy to a lot of it. That's just not how this works. Not everyone at a company is authorized to speak publicly. Sometimes the people who are authorized to speak publicly probably shouldn't. This stuff is very real and definitely happens. And I'm sure that they were dealing with this. They clearly did an extraordinarily poor job. But no, I'm not in a position where I'm never going to work with them again or anything like that, because from my point of view, it's much more effective for me to just say, if you don't deal with this, I will never work with you again. And then they will deal with it, and then we will continue to work with them. I mean, that's my style of leverage. So, I guess it's not really that different from Jay's. Like if we look at a sponsor relationship like a romantic relationship, I'm basically saying privately, I'm withholding sex until you change your behavior. And then Jay is posting on Facebook, I'm withholding sex from my spouse.
So that's what we did. Oh man. So what we did with Eufy is I'm never giving you this ever again. Yeah. And but we did that one publicly.
Well, that's different though. That's different. That was users' private video data. That was
and they continued to systematically lie about it over time. I'm not equating the two situations. I'm just saying our response to it wasn't I'm withholding temporarily. It was like, we done.
I want a poll.
A poll.
Yeah, I want to hear how people would rate ASUS's customer service out of 5.
So 5 options.
Yeah, I would do like 1 to 5 and then like NA. Or something like that. I want to hear from the Floatplane audience, because I've got AJ text saying, it's a long block of text, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically that they were pretty happy. Yeah, no one else is really talking about it yet. But man, the reality of it is, I've had really awful experiences with most of the Taiwanese tech companies at some point or another. And a lot of that was not, obviously, as a tech reviewer, where, I get the white glove treatment, right? A lot of that is when I was working at NCIX and seeing the way that they would treat their partners, right? Because have you guys ever heard the saying, a man who is kind to you and rude to a waiter is not a kind man?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, those are words to live by right there. And seeing the way that a company treats their partners, is one of the ways that I evaluate the integrity of a company. And the number of time, the way that most computer hardware manufacturers will go to any lengths to try to deny a warranty claim is frankly kind of gross. It sucks. There are some standout non-like that behaviors. There are some standout companies that don't behave like that. Ones that come to mind. EVGA, although they were much more challenging to deal with as a retailer than as a consumer, I will tell you guys that much. Corsair. Corsair basically had a blanket policy with us, put it on a pallet, send it back to us. I've heard just small rumblings. It started very small. I've heard rumblings that it might not be that easy with them anymore, but overall, they've had a really pro-consumer approach to taking care of warranty issues and support issues during the time that I've worked with them, which is a long time. Logitech. Logitech has basically a legendary reputation when it comes to replacements. My understanding, again, is that more recently they've had some quality issues and people have had to do more RMAs, but they've still been really good about communication, getting stuff back to you. Are there any that you know of that just have spotless reputations? Noctua. Yeah, Noctua's one. Floatplane Chat. Yeah, 100%.
I would only want to speak from my own experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just EVGA. That EVGA call was one of the most insane things that level of customer support was so insanely above and beyond. I don't know. I will always be friendly towards their customer support unless it's drastically changed, which from what I've heard from the community, it hasn't. Every time I talk about EVGA customer support, everybody's like, yeah, they're great. So sounds good to me.
Yeah, a lot of really good feedback for the ones I mentioned mostly. I'm kind of looking for other ones. Some good feedback for HyperX. Okay, that's good to know. We haven't actually worked with HyperX in a long time.
We used to all the time.
Yeah. I wonder if Brian's still there. I should email him. Be like, hey, are you tired of sponsoring esports teams? Maybe want to come back to tech media? that was basically the whole thing. We were still chill, but they were just yeah, we're spending all our money on esports.
Doing esports teams now.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't think it went super well. So almost everybody, 70%, are saying NA or never dealt with. Then it goes 7% did. 1 as in low.
I've got it up now.
Okay. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
The majority of it's never dealt with. And then it's pretty even distribution except for 5. Very few people said it was 5.
Outstanding.
Yeah, very, very few. The rest of it is pretty even all the way through.
I think this needs to be a big wake-up call for them.
That's not great.
Yeah.
I wonder. Ooh, no, I don't actually want to pit them against each other. But I bet you there's a few customers we could, or a few companies we could throw in there with the exact same poll that would score a lot better.
Yeah, I think if we threw a Logitech or an EVGA in there, they'd probably score a lot better. But here's an interesting one. This is something that's frustrated me for years. And in fact, I think I've even talked about on WAN Show. If I put any other motherboard manufacturer in there, would the story be any different?
No, that's interesting. That's actually very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, universally, I've had and seen anecdotally very mediocre at best experiences with literally all of them. And I can see some of the factors that might contribute to that. They have so many SKUs, sometimes with very little variation, but so many SKUs across all these different regions. They are actually very complicated products.
Yes.
And they deal with a lot of users that are not necessarily particularly experienced. So the volume of support.
Genuinely poke at or prod or crank things on motherboards all the time.
Yeah, that's tough.
I wonder if needing to unscrew things and screw things back in for M.2 drives has increased failure rates.
That's a good question. It wouldn't surprise me. I could see people cranking an M.2 too tight.
Yep.
The thing is, that wouldn't go back to the motherboard maker. That would probably go back to the SSD manufacturer, though. So they'd be sitting there going why is it that every time someone installs... Well, no, because every board was using metal screws for the longest time. Yeah, this is tough. Yeah, Floatplane chat now lighting up with people just saying, yeah, the one positive one. Oh, this is great. I'm Victor says, haven't seen any complaints about ECS or Foxconn motherboards in a while. Yeah, I get it. Haven't seen an ECS or a Foxconn motherboard in a while. Let me tell you though, when they were around, they were not perfect. Oh man. Yeah. So tough situation, but here's my final word on the subject. ASUS, in good faith, we still want to continue to work with you. We need to see you improve this. Period.
Yeah, this is rough.